Hello, and welcome to Opening Bars. For me, Late for the Date is the most memorable melody from the 2016 musical movie La La Land. You may also know it as Mia and Sebastian's theme. Composer Justin Hurwitz spent hours upon hours at the piano, working through melody after melody to get just the right leitmotifs, especially for Mia and Sebastian, and to represent the emotional connection to yearning and hope. I particularly like that this is a waltz, one of the most perfect and beautiful partner dances ever devised. One of my favorite posted reflections by Justin is his comment on how the music might have been different if the ending to the movie had been different. He expressed that this way: what if all the dreams had come true and everything had worked out? How are we going to take all of these motifs and all of these melodies from the movie and use them to revisit points of the story and use them to revisit this larger idea of what could have been? Let's look at what he created then. We are notating these opening bars with a treble and a bass clef, 3 sharps, and a time signature of 3 beats per measure, in other words, 3/4 time. If we remove the extraneous notes, we would be left with a reductive inner melody that sounds like this. This reveals the functional harmony at work here: a 1 in the major with the added major 7th, a 2/7 in the minor, moving to the dominant 7th, 5, with a suspended 4th, resolving in a perfect cadence back to 1, again with the added major 7th. The next 4 measures are a harmonic repeat with an additional tiny melodic variation on beat 1 of measure 7, which extends up to a B4 and A4. It's really so simple and elegant. I really like how the melody alone feels like F sharp minor and D major, which is opposed to its A major and B minor roots. The thoughtful colorings of the added 7ths sound much like Mia and Sebastian themselves, seeking resolution. So here we have a time signature of 3/4, which provides some indication that this could be interpreted as a slow waltz. Looking at the left hand, we can see further stylistic evidence with the strong downbeat on 1 with a root note, and beats 2 and 3 filling out the balance. When I play this, I provide most of the weight to beat 1, less to beat 2, and even less to beat 3. The right hand is simple and clear, a repeated pattern of a full measure of 8th notes, settling on a dotted half note on the following measure. Notice how I've extended the phrase markings to encompass the whole question and answer structure. Also notice how Sebastian plays this during his restaurant scene. True, the intent here is that, somehow, he is just thinking of the melody on the spot, and it hasn't fully developed in his mind. This presentation, to me, doesn't serve the construction of the phrase, although it could be argued that it does serve the construction of the scene. Alternatively, the piano preamble version that precedes the orchestral arrangement on the soundtrack takes a different approach. It stresses the downbeat of each eighth note measure ever so slightly, then rushes through the balance of the run, most noticeably the final two eighth notes on beat 3. I'm really not a big fan of that. To me, the most important note is each beat 1, and it deserves the most attention, while the balance of the notes are extraneous fancies to me. I also really want to keep the feel of the waltz too, without over-stylizing or over-romanticizing it. Otherwise, it becomes a cliché and loses all of its inherent power. Let's talk about the pedaling for a moment. If we pedal through every measure, we will end up with a mushy stew. All of the close tones and semitones will get muddled together. But if we forego the pedaling altogether, it sounds a little too stark. Perhaps you might consider this approach. Use your fingers to keep depressed the tones you wish to let ring through the bar and not others, and use the damper pedal only to smooth the harmonic transition from measure to measure. Therefore, it would sound like this. Now that you know all of the notes, let's talk about some enrichment opportunities. If you decide to continue past the first 8 measures, you will hear Justin repeat the opening bars and double the melodic tones at the octave. What then might you do to the presentation that provides some variation without destroying the pleasing repetition of the melody? Any full repetition normally deserves a freshened presentation, but what? Alter the tempo? Maybe. Use more rubato? Perhaps. Change the dynamics? Emphasize different notes? Change the articulation? How about the pedaling? Perhaps you want to change the weightings in the vertical textures. It isn't my intention in this video to answer those questions. My purpose is to get you to think about asking musical questions and supply your own answers every time you address a piece of music. It doesn't matter if it's the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2 or Runaway by Kanye West. Always fully engage your musical mind when you rehearse and perform. I hope you enjoyed your lesson today. Remember, don't just play notes. Make music. Until next time, thanks for listening.